lots of different forms of music, and so I think the strongest thing that humans give as expression is music. And I don't know exactly how to define the new psychedelic movement, but there are many bands that I really love that are described this way. I also like, drone music. I like trance music. I like, there are different different categories of metal music, what they call stoner music, or doom metal, or some of this I like very much. But I also like underground hip-hop and lots of other styles as well. But I do very much like this resurgence of psychedelic music that really transports you and lets you drift and really affects you in a sensual or sensory way. So I love that stuff. I like heavy rock and roll too. So, but again, I like lots of different forms of music.
If I could add something on that, you started the band as well. I mean, you used to play in a band when you were younger, and now you have another band as well. So, what music gives to you, not when you listen to it, but when you make music, you don't get it out of cinema?
Well, when you make a film, it takes several years. For me, it takes about 2 years to make a film, from writing and financing and shooting and editing. Music is very immediate, so things come out of you very fast, and there's something very, makes you very happy to be able to. It's something very immediate. So in the film, the composer Joseph van Vissem is a Dutch lutenist. He plays lute, and he and I made a few records together last year. And then my band, Swirl, which is Carter Logan, myself, and Shane Stoneback, and now also Joseph when we play live, we made all the other music in the film around Joseph's lute music. So all of the guitar music in the film is my guitar playing, which is very droney and not really virtuoso style of music, but.
Κάποια άλλη ερώτηση? Κύριος εδώ. Okay.
Greetings, Mr. Jarmusch. Back in 2005, you written in an article that nothing is original, steal from anywhere that resonates with inspiration. So, regarding your new movie, Only Lovers Left Alive, where did you steal from?
I probably stole from all kinds of places, not really consciously. There's nothing in this film that I can consciously say I was making a direct reference to another film, but just the things they mention and talk about in the film as inspirations for the characters are then inspirations for the film itself. So, and I don't know if steal was really the best word to use whenever I wrote that, but my intention was that there really isn't original ideas. The beauty of ideas is that they are like waves in the ocean and they connect with things that came before them. And I think it's very important to embrace things that interest you and influence you and incorporate them into what you do, as all artists have done always. The ones that say they don't are lying, I think, or are afraid that their work will not be seen as being original somehow.
Hi, this is a question with two parts. First of all, what's your opinion of American independent filmmaking currently? And has the situation after the crisis led to a scarcity of funds that has caused a decline in it? And do you think a new wave might be needed to occur at some point? And the second part is, here in Greece we've learned to make feature films lately with no budget, based on more, in a different paradigm of filmmaking and on the DSLR and new technologies. So do you think this kind of know-how could be useful to the US independent filmmaking?
Well, to answer the first part, or maybe not answer it, I don't really know. It depends on how you define independent cinema. And it's become a kind of, especially in America, almost a marketing tool. So I don't even know really what it means. But yes, things have changed. And the worldwide economic crisis and also the new ways of films being distributed has changed the way they can be financed. So I don't know what is the future. I know that maybe the new wave of Greek films using small budgets is really the future and maybe the best way. And if you look at the history of any form, but let's just say of rock and roll, for example, you find that it goes in cycles, and there are cycles where, for example, when I was younger, we were tired of this big stadium rock and roll, right? And this record company, commercial rock and roll forced in a way on you in a mainstream way. So it was very important that, for example, well, starting maybe with the Stooges, but when you have the Sex Pistols or the Ramones, the idea was reduce down to the essential thing. Don't worry that you're not a professional. And this is the future, I think, in a way, where cinema must be now, is strip away everything. I'm much more interested in seeing a film by a Greek filmmaker that made a film for $200,000 than I am in seeing The Great Gatsby by Buz Luhrman, you know, so that's just my taste. But cinema needs to maybe be reduced to its essential poetry. And there's a cycle that happens, and we're in it now, maybe forcibly by worldwide economics. Maybe that's a very good thing, in a way. So maybe some very beautiful, already in Greece, in Romania, for years now in Iran, we have these beautiful gardens of new cinema that come in places you would think, well, how can they be making films in Greece where you can't? The crisis is so severe, but yet here it is, you know, it's happening. So I don't know, I'm not a predictor, but I really embrace this, people finding their own way to express themselves. So I have a lot of hope for it. You cannot kill these beautiful forms. You can just not help them with a lot of money. So.
Okay, I would like to know why does your film take place in Tanzier and Detroit? Is it the hidden symbolism behind those two cities, in the sense that Tanzier is a multicultural destination which attracted many authors like Jack Kerouac, William Burroughs, Truman Capote, and of course Detroit is a symbol of decline nowadays. And would you shoot a film here in Thessaloniki? Thank you.
Well, you know, I'm not very analytical. I don't want to talk about really the symbolism of these cities. I think that's in the film. So what they mean I place in the film, and I don't really feel so comfortable explaining. I thought they were appropriate places to help define these characters, because really our film is not really a vampire film or a horror film. It's a love story it's a kind of character study. It's about the characters. So the places they live becomes very important, and in defining them. And it is important that they're vampires, because that allows them to have an overview of history over hundreds of years, which is part of the story as well. But also, and I love Detroit, and I love Tanzier very much, so part of it is was my wanting to be able to spend time there also. But both of these cities have many qualities, and I could talk for hours about why I like them or what they mean in the film, but I prefer not to. And was there another part that, oh, about filming here? Well, I've only been here a few days. I love it here, but I develop ideas pretty slowly. So I don't have a script written yet that takes place here. But I'm very happy to be here, and this is really an amazing place. And I started reading a lot about the history of Thessaloniki before I left to come here, and it's really an incredible history and an incredible place. And I'm so happy, I'm really happy to be here. So you never know, I'm absorbing things in my own way.
Question on your left, next to the camera. The leading character of Stranger Than Paradise was a Hungarian actress from New York, and she was from the group of the Squad Theater, which you used to watch the productions of. And there is this urban myth in Budapest that their productions and their work, experimental work, influenced you. Did they? And how did you get to know them in the first place?
Yes, definitely they were influential, and I got to know them first by attending some of their productions, and I saw, I think, all of the plays, all of the performances they did in New York. But also they lived in a kind of communal building where their theater was. So many of us used to hang out there because they were very interesting people, but also people like Arno Lindsay and John Lurie, and even later Jean-Michel Basquiat when he was very young. And a lot of us would just spend time with them, and then we became friends with the members of Squad Theater. And of course I still keep in touch with Esther Ballant, but they were very influential and very, just very innovative and interesting and amazing people. So it was a kind of strange countercultural little center, the Squad Theater building on 23rd Street.
Throughout your whole filmography, the notion of passion of time seems to be quite strong, at least to my eyes. And this seems to be also true with your latest film, the one we saw last night. Ever since you did Stranger Than Paradise in the late 80s, has this notion of time changed for you? I mean, as a filmmaker, do you feel like you have to find new ways of dealing with this? Is this a subject that is in your mind when you make films?
I see that it is something that is in my films, but I don't consciously think about it so much. I don't really know how to answer that. I don't really analyze the films. I know that time is part of certainly Mystery Train and Night on Earth, where things were happening concurrently. And in this film, yes, time is very much a subject, because these characters have seen history over a long period, so their perception is heightened, and that's a theme in the film. But I can't be analytical about it. It's not my way. I don't think that way.
Hello. Since you said you study Greek history, hope you discovered the real Macedonia, because many citizens of the United States don't know about things about that. I would like to ask you, you said you like underground music, so you must be sad by the recent death of Lou Reed. What was his music for you? What means for you, Lou Reed?
Well, I've lived in New York for a long time. Lou Reed is like our kind of godfather of rock and roll in New York. And Lou Reed and the Velvets were groundbreaking. And at the time when the Velvet Underground first began, people hated this. It was noise. It was not even music to a lot of people. And yet now you see how pervasive the inspiration and influence of the Velvet Underground and of course Lou Reed have been. For us in New York, it's truly a big loss to lose Lou, but we don't lose him because he gave us so many amazing things. I don't I don't love all of his music, as I don't love everything every artist makes. But I love a lot of Lou Reed's music, and it's extremely important to me. We weren't close friends, but I knew him. I got to hang out with him. I had dinner with him a few times, and got to spend some times talking with him. And he was really, for me, a huge inspiration, Lou Reed. So I said, long live Lou Reed.
Thank you.
Hello, right here. Since you are a director, but a musician as well, when you think of a story, what part comes first, the image or the sound?
Well, neither. What comes first is usually some characters and some places. So the places where I want the film, I'm imagining a world to create. I think of the places, and then I, at the same time, think of the central characters. So it's really neither of these things first. And the image and sound are very much almost the same thing to me, because they create the kind of atmosphere. And in a film is the most closely related form to music, because film passes before you in its own time. It has an internal rhythm, it is edited and has shifts and movement. It has slow parts, fast parts, quiet parts, loud parts, you know, so they're very, very intertwined for me. And I take a lot of, I think I try to learn about filmmaking from music, you know. And I think of music often in terms of cinema as well. So I'm confused, but I'm happily confused. But
here I am. Hello.
Hi.
I can easily define your film as a time capsule, where you put all values as music, as a history of humankind, as a photography on that wall that we can saw talking about a lot of excellent people, not only from the films and from the music, but also from the scientists. So, was it your intention to build some kind of time capsule and preserve values from forgetfulness?
No, that seems a bit, I think that would be a bit presumptuous to think of it as a kind of time capsule. I think what I like to do, in this film there are many references, obviously, to other artists, to science, to different things that are very important to me, but I think that if I can make a film and I make a reference to something, say there's mention of William Blake in a film I make, and maybe someone in Kansas or someone in Lithuania sees my film and they don't know about William Blake, and then they are interested, then I feel, somehow we accomplished something with our film. So I can't think of it as such a broad way, but if even one person is inspired to investigate something from the film, then I am extremely happy that something of interest was passed on to someone else. So that's sort of my largest hope.
Hi. We've seen recently a lot of people from the cinema. They're doing things for television, and there's a lot of things interesting there. Would you be interested in doing something on television? Because as an audience, we'd love to see something from you there too.
Yes, I would possibly. I have a few little ideas. They're not very strong yet, but the only thing that really would worry me about television is that I am very independent in that I only make films where I have the choice of who I collaborate with, and those people and myself have complete creative control over the work. Otherwise, I'm not interested in making a film with someone else telling me how to make it. So my concern with television would be having this freedom. If it was given to me and I had a strong idea, yes, I would certainly consider television. And it is now a way for people to make things in a very cinematic way that is getting harder and harder to do with cinema. So I was very inspired when Todd Haynes a few years ago made a 5-part TV version of Mildred Pierce that was very cinematic and poetic in his style. And he did this for TV. So there are many, TV is very, very interesting now, which I think it's partly because cinema is becoming more important, more difficult to get financing. So I don't know, I think TV is very interesting. I don't watch a lot of those things because I don't like to become addicted to TV shows. So I just taste that, you know. I saw one episode only of Breaking Bad, one episode only of Mad Men. You know, years ago I started watching The Wire and then I couldn't stop, so I stopped because I have so little time to make music and write and make films and be with my friends. And also I'm a real film nerd, so I need to see a lot of films. So I prefer to see old films and odd films than watch an entire series of TV, but I find them very interesting and a lot of strong things in this new TV, so.
Hello, Mr. Jarmusch.
Can you put your arm up? Oh, there you are.
Okay. And just to say, for what you said before, that before watching that one, I didn't know about William Blake, and after watching it, we did make it feel inspired from your movie, and thank you for that.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you very much. So we accomplished something.
Hello.
Hello.
One of your producers is a Greek man, Christos Konstantakopoulos. Could you please tell us a few words about this collaboration? How did you meet him? How did you work with him?
He is a kind of angel of our film. We were gathering our financing from Germany and France and some money trying to get from England. And we did not have the last piece of financing to make our film. And Christos came and allowed us to make this film. So it was really like an angel. I had met him before this, and when Bart Walker, who I work with, he helps me finance my films, he said there's a very interesting Greek man who is potentially very important in the future of our kind of filmmaking. And he said, would you like to meet him? And I said something like, oh, is this some Greek guy that just wants to go to parties and meet Paris Hilton? I was quite rude to my friend Bart. He said, no, this is a very different kind of man. It's a very interesting man. So I had dinner with Christos, and we were talking all night about our beliefs that William Shakespeare is a total conspiracy, our love of Mark Twain, our love of Lafcadio Hearn, our love of the city of New Orleans, our love of certain forms of music, and we were talking, and this guy was so incredible. I was like, where did he come from? So then when we were lacking money for our film, Bart said, well, maybe we should go to Christos. And I was like, well, I love this guy, I don't know, see what he thinks. And then he saved our film. But this man is extraordinary, and his knowledge and interest in things is so great, So he's like a wonderful gift to us all and to all of us for this new wave of Greek cinema that he is very positive about. So yeah, what an amazing man. So I'm so happy to be here, and Christos is here, so he is an angel among us. And another one I must just say, I must talk about Dimitris, Eipides, because this man has been a kind of figure, a guide, a navigator, a godfather of interesting cinema my whole life as a filmmaker. And just to be here with him, and I would say this, even if he's not here, this man is a real gift to us all too. So, but anyway, I have to say it because many filmmakers that feel this way about Dimitri, and so it's not just, I'm not just saying this to be complimentary. I don't do that, but I sincerely respect. So we're among some real angels here, and I'm very happy, proud to be, and among all of you. So.
Hello. You mentioned before that it's more interesting to you to try to find something in a smaller scale that is interesting rather than a larger scale. You actually mentioned Great Gatsby. It can probably make you feel not so well watching it. I was wondering, was there any, can you give us an example of an offer you had been made for a larger scale movie that you didn't actually took it to shoot it because you understood that you will not have the control of it?
Only, and first of all, I don't want to be disrespectful really to Buz Luhrman, because there's a need for all types of cinema, you know, and some people make things on a small level, some people need a larger scale. For example, Terry Gilliam is not someone that works in a small way. And I love Terry Gilliam and I love his films. So, and I love some mainstream things as well. But in my life, only when I was first starting out and made Stranger Than Paradise, I was offered a few kind of larger Hollywood projects. But they were like, I don't think that the people offering me these had seen my film. I think they only saw something about it in Variety, or because these were like coming of age, teenage comedy things, very commercial. So but since then nobody has offered me anything like that.
Hello. Some years ago you gave us this wonderful, wonderful movie about a man who is moving towards his death. I refer to Jarmusch, of course. It's one of the best poetic movies ever. And this year you gave us a film about a couple who never dies. What changed in your life? How you feel about life? Is this has changed you? The way that you see the time moving and aging and everything?
I don't think so. I think, well, Dead Man for me is about life and death being something circular, being the same thing in a way. This film, I think, is about just, for me, and again, I'm not good at analyzing my film. I don't really want to know what it's about exactly, but it's sort of mysterious to me. But I hope that it's part of it is to celebrate our gift of being conscious. Because if you look at the planet Earth and life on this Earth and how strange and unusual that is, and in the expanse of the universe, life on Earth is just one tiny little flicker, you know? And yet we are in the middle of it, and we're given this consciousness of being alive and being human beings. So I think, and I even think that Only Lovers Left Alive, one idea I think is in the film is to celebrate this consciousness. And the character of Eve is very strong about that. And Adam is a little weaker. He's a little more romantic and gets disillusioned by human behavior, which I do as well. But I hope the idea is to celebrate consciousness and life and being alive. At the same time, I don't think I would want to be alive forever, because I think death is part of a cycle, and I think being alive, I'd like to live a lot longer, Well, you know what? Once, years ago in Cannes, my friend Aki Kaurismaki, the Finnish director who I love, they asked him, he was giving a press conference, and they said, Aki, how do you consider your films, your place in the history of cinema? And he said, don't worry, history will draw a veil over all of this. I prefer to think that.
We only have time for one last question.
Really, one last question? Can we have three?
Okay.
I'm superstitious.
Okay, we can have three. Start with the first one.
Mr. Jarmusch, thank you for being here. It's such an honor and a joy to have you here. I wanted to ask you, you're filming, you were shooting the scenes where your heroes were enjoying the O-negative blood in a certain way. It's not only their food, it's their ecstasy in life. And I was wondering, what's your type of thing in life, in your art or in your life? Do you have something equivalent that gives you such an ecstasy?
Yes, well, I guess just being conscious, several things, you know, human imagination is kind of one of the things, I think, the most beautiful things we have. And also just the physical presence of the earth and the universe and the moon and the sun and the air and the sun's absurd. But I would have to just say these very general things. I don't know. I think I sort of answered that already, talking about the gift of consciousness. I don't have a real drug of choice anymore. I've tried them all.
So 2 to go. We have one there.
Thank you very much. So, your film On the Road, here. Good Morning, here. On your left.
No, here.
So, sorry. Your film, I mean about the dead man, has to do a lot about what we say. One moment, please, because I have a specific question from my editor about the Peyote. So I would like to ask you if that is, this film is something like a hymn to the Peyotism.
A hymn, you said? A hymn?
Yes, or an introduction to the Peyotism.
To what? Peyotism.
Yes, as far as the Indian, yes, that's right.
No, they don't use peyote in the film. In the film Dead Man, there was a sequence where they used peyote, where the main character, William Blake, was given peyote. Oh, you're talking about that film. Yes, well, a lot of these substances, psychoactive substances, are really, they're used usually in the wrong way, probably, but when they are used as a kind of sacrament, or even just an appreciation, again, of consciousness, they are very, very valuable. And I do think of Dead Man, hopefully, as on some level, a kind of psychedelic film. So I hope that this kind of psychedelic aspect is part of the film. It's not the main theme of the film, but it is one element, I hope.
So, one last question. Here, in front. The gentleman sitting down there.
Before you were talking about references in your film to famous people, and you talk quite a lot about Tesla in this film. A lot of other filmmakers have given mention to Tesla. What do you think about his place in history? It's been so overlooked. And do you think it's rather ironic that Detroit tried to stop his electric car, and yet now Detroit is gone?
Well, a lot of ironic things about Tesla. The things Tesla gave us are almost impossible to list. You wouldn't be using that wireless microphone. We wouldn't have this form of illumination or alternating electric current. We wouldn't have most things we take for granted came from Tesla's imagination. So Tesla was, in the end, discredited. He was treated like a madman. He was exploited. He was, they stole things from him. He was not given respect, ultimately. And yet he changed everything we think, the way we live in every way. So I find this very odd and unfortunate. But the main reason that we should remember that Nikola Tesla was discredited was because his real concerns were free energy for everyone, and that he wanted to find ways that would make warfare basically impossible, a kind of shields based on particle acceleration, or what they call a death ray, whatever. But Tesla wanted no war, and he wanted free energy. And these are because of the unfortunate, now present corporate kind of almost crypto-fascism in the world. These things are denied to us, and yet they are fully possible. Why do we don't have to use these kind of fossil burning vehicles. There are many alternatives. We don't have to pay corporations for this energy. There are other ways this could happen, but the people, the small percentage that control all this wealth are basically corporate, and they have decided for us. So we should remember what Tesla wanted for us, and then look at what we have. And there's a big question, why this way instead of the other way? So he's very important to all of us, of how we live, but also his ideas and ideals are very, very valuable, and have been discredited and exploited and attempt to be forgotten. But he won't be forgotten, so I hope.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here and bringing your film. Thank you all for being here.
Ελένα, μη φύγεις. Ελένα, έλα λίγο, έλα.
I know people here. Two is enough. Yeah, there's too many people.
Thank you very much, Jim. You're welcome. Τι γίνεται με το κινητό τώρα, μπορούμε να κάνουμε δουλειά για να πέσει το κινητό.
Σαβέλα, κεφάλα σου. Σαβέλα, πατά.
I will. Isabel, I'll remember.
Hello, excuse me, can you sign for the viewers of my website called MySalonika, of course?
Take this one.
Okay. It's called MySalonika. You can sign whatever you want for Thessaloniki, whatever comes to your mind.
I don't understand.
Okay. You can say to the viewers of the MySalonika. It's a website. It's Thessaloniki, Salonika, you know.
Okay, then.
MySalonika. S-A... My, it's mine, for why? MySalonika. S-A-L-O-N-I-K-I. Thank you very much. Hey. Hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.